My name is Ellie.
And my name is Ross.
Welcome to our podcast, In Real Life, where we dive deep into life, relationships, and real-world topics.
We promise laughter, tears, and jaw-dropping moments. Well, I don't want to promise it. But
So get ready because this is what it means for us to live in real life. This series will touch on subjects related to suicide and other challenging life experiences. If you're struggling with thoughts of self-harm or suicide, you can reach out to Lifeline Australia at 13 11 14 or reach their website at www.lifeline.org.au. Guys, welcome back to In Real Life with Ellie and Ross.
and Daisy.
And Daisy.
And Bruce, actually.
Yeah. And
Bruce
we've
Lee.
got Bruce Lee here. Oh my God. So what people don't actually realise is Ross actually used to be a cage fighter.
Yeah,
We didn't do a proper intro on you in the last episode, or
No.
really me and like what we do and what I do, and
Nah, no one cares.
But we've made it to episode 2 without killing each other, so
Yeah.
that's like a great.
That's a great
Let's
step.
celebrate.
Yeah.
What are we diving into today?
We're diving into a bit of controversy. Some of the controversy that this storm,
I love controversy.
you do.
I do.
Yeah. I
find
can't stand it.
Actually, do you know what? I like
I-
it when it's not about me. When it's not about me, it's wonderful. When it's
True.
about me, it's like.
Yeah. Controversy and also the real reasons behind the list. Like
Yeah.
everyone's heard the list. Well, not everyone. People
Yep.
have heard the list. 3 people heard the list.
Yeah.
2 of them are in this room. But I don't think many people really have, well, definitely we haven't had a format or a platform that's really shared like why we genuinely don't want to have kids.
Yeah,
They're
like
hidden in your list.
We've touched,
for sure.
yeah, they're hidden,
in
and
your
I've
list.
kind of touched on it on Instagram, after everyone just decided to throw fucking like hate and
Not everyone. We discussed that.
yeah, not
There's
everyone,
Only 15.
but I should say when the people,
Yeah, it's
threw-
louder.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely louder.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that wasn't really the place to really dive into that. But we did get some very, very hectic reactions. Some good, some bad.
Some just fucking insane.
Batshit crazy.
Like actually,
Proper batshit.
to go
like,
to the effort of some people's level of effort to reach out, and I'm assuming you're not alone. We're not alone. I'm sure some people like they just get just random shit, and you're just like, what is this person on?
Do you know what the funny thing is though? When people actually go to the effort of finding my email address, which isn't easy, and then proceeding to say, and it starts with, don't know who you are, I don't care, but, and then they dive into like,
Yeah, but you stumbled
a
across
10 minute like full like gigantic paragraph of just ridiculous batshit crazy, just whatever hate.
Yeah, there were some interesting ones, but
We actually did have a really good laugh about it.
Yeah, we did. Well, if you
Reading.
don't laugh, you cry.
Exactly.
Not really. Actually, nothing got me to a point of. I didn't see any attacks towards you that I was like, oh, you know what? That's my missus. I'm going to stand. Like, I didn't see any of that.
Well,
I genuinely felt sorry for anyone who came at it with a negative.
Yeah. But I also feel like you're the kind of husband and partner. Oh, hello, Daisy. You want to make a little entrance now? She's waking up. You're the kind of husband and partner that knows, you don't need to come to my defense. You know, I've got this. And when you know that I don't, that's when you feel like
Then my cage fighter comes out.
Exactly. But you just jump in, and but you're not the kind of person that would be like, how dare you say that about my wife, blah, blah. Like you let me handle things the way that I need to handle.
In our early days, and I think when we were sort of starting to get, we got together and Instagram wasn't even a thing.
Yeah, it was like Facebook pages and MySpace.
I remember there was a couple. I remember even where we were in the car coming off the highway, and I remember a comment popped up and someone said something about you, and it just like infuriated me. And I had to
Do you remember what it
respond.
was?
Yeah, it was one of those pages. Remember, it was I don't want to give it credit.
The forum, the big like online forum.
Yeah, it was almost
Yeah.
like that Perez Hilton where like they just like, but it was a specific forum where
And it was
I
very
think,
hateful, and it would comment on women's.
I'm pretty sure it was dudes send in to that dude and it was like, rate this or give that like,
Judge
comment.
her.
Yeah, and literally this dude just wrote like a full fucking novel on what he thought about that person. And you know that at that point, like
I'm pretty sure he only just called me a horse face, but
yeah, but it fired me up. One of the comments, I was just like, "Fuck you."
yeah,
But then after that, I think I bit of self-reflection. Like, oh, you know what? Why do I care what other people think?
Exactly.
What other people think of me is none of my business. But I don't care what anyone people think of me, but I do get a little bit sensitive or protective when people say stuff about you, because I know you're not to be anything but an awesome person.
And I'm the same thing. I'm the same with you.
You know.
When someone speaks about, like when that guy like literally did a whole big thing, you know, it's not too late to leave your wife and like say all these things, and just if anyone ever says anything about you, I'm always kind of like, hold on a minute. And it's always the people who look like a foot who say this.
What? A foot?
Like they look like Hagrid's foot, unwashed, filthy. Like that's what like the majority of these people, and you know, I'm not judging people on looks, but it's all coming from the same foot-looking people. But yeah, it's always the same kinds of people. Anyway, should we actually?
Wow, just so like.
Should we? Well, yeah. Like, let's kick it off.
Let's dive into what
this
was some
is a
of
spicy episode.
We've grabbed a couple of comments, and look, we didn't share the very negative ones.
Yeah,
because
we've kind of kept
not because
we're
trying to avoid them. Like I think you've responded to most of them that were on any of your socials or whatever. But I think we shared some negative. We've got like I think 2 or 3 negative and 2 or 3 positive.
Yeah.
In regards and it's in respect to how did this make people respond when they saw this person who was like, hey, I want to be child-free. And it just happens to be accompanied by a list of 27 million reasons why.
And look again, and some of those they were my reasons that I'm deciding not to have children, not saying, hey, these are the reasons why you shouldn't have children. It wasn't like a scare tactic for people and for the people being like, no one cares. Like, I literally posted it because people were caring and they were saying we want to see it.
See, I think we've got our own like 1 or 2 specific reasons. The reason why we don't want to have kids, and then these other things are like the symptom, not the symptoms.
They're just the funny, stupid things.
They're the other things.
But they still matter because people think about them.
So do you want to go first, or would you like? Do
you want to kick it off? Because this one's pretty funny.
Yeah, I don't know how to pronounce that word. WHEW.
I think it's like whew, like whew.
Okay. Phew, boy. Your generation is just a whole nother level of ultra narcissistic. I mean, the world has never seen your degree of selfishness before. If we're doomed, it's not because of having kids, it's because we've birthed your generation of entitled, narcissistic, blameless brats.
Well, I think that when he said we've birthed, like, isn't that kind of on you?
So I guess this person, and not to name names, but
definitely a boomer.
I can't even pronounce the
definitely a boomer.
Well, I guess that they're saying that they're our parents' age-ish, so they're like between 50 and 100.
Yeah. We've birthed your generation of entitled, narcissistic, blameless brats.
Shame on you for birthing us.
Yeah.
It's not our fault that we're brats and narcissistic.
And entitled. But look, also at the same time, this is a whole nother generation of people who take their actual mental health into consideration when they make big decisions.
That's actually I don't know if we want to get into that on this one.
What?
Or is that maybe something we want to get into? People talk about mental, and Are You Okay Day was the other day.
Yeah.
It was 3 or 4 days ago.
Yeah.
People talk about caring about other people's mental health, but I don't think a lot of people realize when this topic comes up that people are actually making a decision to protect their mental health, because I think that most people have genuinely explored the idea of having or not having kids in their life. And then when you have someone sit across from you, judge you, criticize you, like diminish your responses or your that
or downplay as well. They downplay like, your experiences.
Yeah, but they're probably the ones waving the are you okay flag.
Oh, absolutely. Like, the people who write this shit are the people who are like have practice kindness in their bio or like praise Jesus and the Bible, and it's
don't get religious. I mean, it's not religious.
Well, a lot of in my experience, a lot of the time they are religious people. They are the people who talk about like
look, definitely religion
perpetuating like kindness and that whole narrative.
Yeah.
It's always those people that scream that the loudest that are the most not always. Not
I know
always.
What you mean.
Yeah, I just get passionate and I'm like, it's these people, but it's obviously always not those people.
And by the way, we have nothing against religion.
There are very kind Christian people that I know that are lovely, and there's also some people who are just fucking crazy and just take things too far.
We don't have anything
but that's
against
just people,
really anyone.
You
Again,
know?
coming back to that, what we said in the first episode, if it's not hurtful or hateful,
yeah,
like you're cool, whatever,
yeah.
Do you. So
this is
a positive.
a little bit more of a positive response.
Of course, you're going to read it.
Katie O'Donoghue, honestly, thank you for this post. I love how open, honest, and authentic you have been with your views, as this isn't talked about enough. Having a child is definitely seen through rose-tinted glasses for many, and lots don't know about a lot that can happen to your body, mind, identity, life, relationships, etc., when you make this choice. And if you quite literally don't have your own shit sorted out pre-baby and know exactly where you are health-wise and financially afford another life on top of your own. I've always felt at peace and happy with an amazing fiance and fur baby, with plans of having another dog in the future, if anything, and knowing how life is and continue to be if we choose to remain this way without a baby. Everyone creates their own unique life and it doesn't have to be in line with the status quo. I am so surprised by the comments here, but just popping a comment to say this was so validating and reaffirming in many ways for me, so thank you for sharing.
That's nice, hey? So obviously, Kate, if that's her real name, obviously she's chosen to live child-free.
Yeah.
Interesting to know her age. So,
but don't you, I find the response back that's really hateful, people saying you have to have children, and the response back for people who don't have kids are so different.
Oh, definitely.
One comes from such a hateful view, and then the other one is just like there's been
a lot of comments, a lot of support from parents.
Yeah, but the ones that are like
women,
really
I
aggressive.
haven't heard too much from men. Haven't heard too many guys, and maybe it's because maybe guys just don't engage.
There was a few male comments made saying my wife and I are deciding to be child-free too, and
cool.
Yeah, there was definitely there was a lot of men commenting on
actually a lot of men
a women's choice.
Yeah.
And they spit the hate, and it's like you don't even have to go through half of these things, so you can't relate. You can't speak to even half of the things on this list.
Why do you fucking care? Whether someone if someone has a child, if someone doesn't have a child, I guarantee they affect your life less than if someone does have a child.
Exactly.
There are more chances of your life being impacted by someone else having a child than there are if that person doesn't have a child. Yet you seem to care so much. Anyway, sorry. So next one, negative. You do a negative one because you love to speak of positive stuff. Let's go the negative one.
Well, do you know what? This is actually a really funny one.
LuxX __
LuxX. Maybe you aren't truly in love with the person that you are with, or vice versa.
No.
So apparently you don't love me. But how hypocritical are some of these points on the list, yet you have a dog.
Yeah, we do.
You take care of it and so on. You get the gist of it. I do have Daisy's hair on my nose right now. I can't get out. Having kids and becoming a mum is the most incredible feeling, which sadly you will never get to experience. No one will love you more than your children. And not to mention, a woman who goes through pregnancy and the birth is a true warrior. It takes a real woman in capital letters to do that. Firstly, don't fucking compare a child to a dog. It is not the same thing.
That shouldn't actually be the first thing, to be honest. The first thing, honestly.
Well, I'm doing it in chronological order of the actual comment.
Okay.
But also the fact that you say it takes a real woman. Like, I'm not a real woman because I'm deciding not to have a child.
Do you know who I find that to be actually very disrespectful to women and couples who actually struggle and they can't get pregnant?
Yeah.
So that you actually piss off probably a very big group of people who they would love to have a child and maybe they can't for whatever reason.
Yeah.
So are you actually saying that you're not a real woman and it wasn't actually like they desperately want to, can't, but a real woman is actually someone who goes through childbirth? But
then also saying that you will never experience real love as well if you can't do that, which I find is absolutely ridiculous, in my opinion, which we'll dive into.
Yeah, and look, we can't speak for something you haven't experienced, but
exactly.
I think, I don't know, wouldn't it be fair to say it's a different kind of love?
Yeah. It's not, and I feel like people bang on about it being the ultimate kind of love, but it's actually just a different kind of love.
But actually it should be the ultimate kind of love, because if you bring a child into this world, you should want to die for that child. It should be the ultimate. And I would, same feeling towards Daisy. Like someone gets in the way of Daisy, or
she is our baby.
Her. Yeah. But I could imagine that that a feeling would be, I don't know, multiplied.
Yeah.
I guess with a child for sure. All right, so another negative one.
She's
Beautygate 91. Spell your right, first of all. I'm pretty dyslexic, but I know that's not the right way. You're a disgrace to women that can't, it's directed at you.
Yeah.
You're a disgrace to women that can't struggle to conceive children.
That can't /struggle.
Oh, they can't /struggle to conceive children. How you have a platform to promote this bullshit is insanity. What a shame your parents didn't think the same about having children. This list is bullshit. You will be very lonely. You will be very lonely and an empty soul without a family. This is screaming trauma and attention seeking. Women who would give anything to conceive and struggle with fertility, I apologize that this demon has a platform. You demon.
Well, look, it's not the worst thing that I've been called, but I find that actually very quite entertaining that someone would call me a demon.
Why?
Honestly, it's wild that someone goes, it makes them so infuriated that they have to call me a demon.
That's a trigger. It's like, I get it. If you posted something like, don't have children, these are the reasons why we and you shouldn't have children, I would maybe start to understand why you would respond with something like that. But the fact that you didn't, you said, these are my reasons why I want to remain child-free, and then followed it up with a huge post.
I just find it so funny that they say that I should have basically been aborted if my parents had this list.
Do you have a problem with that? Like, this is probably going a bit off topic, but do you have a problem with that? If someone says maybe your parents should have, like, I actually think maybe, and look, we're going to cover it a little bit later, the real reasons why. I mean, your dad's not here.
Yeah.
He decided to not be here anymore. Do you think that he would still be here if he didn't have kids? And would you have a problem with that? I mean, you wouldn't be alive to sort of answer that, but is that a bad thing?
Yeah, look, I think sometimes there's so many people who just, especially back then, who had children when they probably shouldn't have. And it's changed the trajectory of their life in a bad way, in a lot of ways. Some people are made to be parents. Don't get me wrong. Like they are the best parents. That is their purpose, that it fulfills them, it makes them happy.
And they're great at it.
And they're so great at it. But there are so many people who feel the pressure and try to live up to the societal expectations that this is the way I'm supposed to live my life. This is supposed to make me happy. And then they have it. Oh, are you okay? Daisy has a little reverse sneeze, which you probably will hear during this podcast if you're just listening to an audio. She's okay. She's not dying. It's all right. She has cough syrup. It's all good. But back to what I was saying.
But back to me.
What was I talking about? My ADHD brain is going wild.
Well, we're on the negative lady, Beautygate.
Look, some people are made to have kids. Other people, not so much, but they are so pressured into it that they're like, this is the way that I should live my life. They have them and then they come to regret having kids. And honestly, I've seen this within my family, which I'll touch on later, but so many people become slaves to their children. My parents were slaves to us kids.
Well, I do. I mean, again, probably getting into something we're going to go into after this. But one of the reasons, and I think one of the contributing factors to the reason why your dad decided to choose what he did to do was he had these children, and I think that tore him apart with the circumstances that went on. Yeah, and maybe if he didn't have children, like
it might have been easier to walk away.
Yeah, he might have been able to deal with whatever happened, and maybe he would have been able to that's fine. But I don't know. You can't comment obviously because it's.
Well, I mean, it's so different, but you can speculate.
I want to do a positive one.
Yeah. Okay, we'll go.
Oh, this one's fucking huge. Here we go. Mackenzie Page _89. Oh, a couple of years younger than me. I'm intrigued at the fact that so many mums have felt the need to either state that us child-free women will never experience real love or we will clearly not be worthy enough to be mothers. It's a list that's...
Wait, hang on.
It's a list.
Let's just pause this here. Tell these batch.
Oh, no, I think we're fine. There's some action going around in the studio at the moment.
There's some very loud, crazy ladies. I don't know if you can hear it, but... it's very loud in here.
You totally interrupted me though.
I'm sorry. I just thought that's all you're going to hear because it's so close.
Maybe we just raise our voice, talk deeper into the microphone. drown out
like the way
crazy.
that captains speak. They're like, they basically put the microphone in there.
We are coming into Brisbane for landing.
Back to our regular scheduled program.
Sorry,
anyway.
Mackenzie Page _89. I'm intrigued at the fact that so many mums have felt the need to either state that us child-free women will never experience real love, or that we are clearly not worthy enough to be mothers. It's a list. It's satirical. It's an opinion. To be honest, it's refreshing because everyone seems so constantly intent on questioning our choice to remain child-free. For some reason, it's not even a choice. I love that some mothers have been able to be honest enough to admit to relating to this list, at least in part. Kudos to you ladies. We all know that the fiery comments are coming from women who can't admit that they do feel that way deep down. Nothing breeds anger more than the things that you're mad at about yourself. So thanks for you having the courage to be real. If I were a mother, I'd hope to be like you all. Your authenticity will foster the kinds of kids we need in this world. Yours sincerely, a woman who tried to have kids for many years through IVF, found out she was infertile, and has now found joy in her nieces, nephews, friends' kids, etc., and who is happier than ever with the way things turned out. Please don't hate on me for finding my joy in the way things panned out for me. I don't deny your joy for your decisions in life. The polar opposite of
that I'm the demon.
The polar opposite of the first one, of the blameless brats.
I feel like she summed that up so well, and I just want to say to Mackenzie Page, thank you for sharing that.
Mackenzie Page _89.
Like I know it's a big paragraph for you to write on social media, and like a lot of thought has gone into that. But thank you so much. Like we appreciate you,
but also
sharing your point of view and so candidly.
She shared part of her journey. I mean, I can't imagine what it would be like if you did want to have kids and you couldn't, and you explored those things and it didn't work out. Like that would actually be really fucking tough.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that I've had a lot of people attack me for that online, saying, you know, this is so insulting to people who are going through IVF.
But you're not taking that away from anyone.
Yeah.
So why should you be attacked?
I
understand that.
But I also feel like a lot of people who are going through IVF have said, this has actually made me feel so much better about my decision, because there are people out there who are choosing this life. Like while I haven't chosen it, there are people choosing it and they're happy. They're okay. Like their life is wonderful. They've got peace and happiness, and, you know, I can have that for myself, where it's on the other side, it's like very kind of doom and gloom. You're not going to experience like unconditional love, blah, 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 like all that stuff. Like your life's over if you can't have kids, you know, that narrative. That a lot of people spill to people.
That was summed up really nicely.
Yeah, I thought that was beautiful. So thank you, Mackenzie,
understanding, empathy. I could only imagine. Can you imagine putting those? Was there four that we read out? 1,
5,
2,
I think.
3, 4, 5. Okay, maybe we missed one. I feel like we didn't say them all. There was 5. Can you imagine putting all of those people in a room at a barbecue?
That would be the best. TV
I reckon Mackenzie
would
walk out.
Should we start a TV show? Child-free and not child-free. That would be so entertaining. I would find that conversation really entertaining.
Almost like, what's it like, the Master Chef or whatever it is, where people come to the house and cook or whatever. But like have all this nice food, but you know that you're putting people that have polar opposite opinions and like stances on living a child-free life.
Because some people are just like very passionate about it.
This is our second episode and we're already creating an offshoot of something. So let's go into these controversial topics. Let's actually bring up the list.
Well, I think shall I touch on some of the ones that have been shared like very worldwide on the news and media?
Yeah, what do you mean?
The ones that will probably featured the most.
Okay, yeah.
Like on the news and all that. So they can turn into a serial killer.
Jeffrey Dahmer.
Ted
Can
Bundy.
you imagine?
Could you imagine being the parents of Jeffrey Dahmer and Ted Bundy?
Yeah, or just anyone who does like something just awful or horrific to another human being. Can you imagine like that's fucked up?
Yeah. Well, that's why it's on the list. Kids can be wildly embarrassing. Yeah. They can poo inside of you, and then they can also have breathing problems because of it later on. Your nipples can reach the size of dinner plates, like we spoke about this earlier. Lots of people will fist you to see how dilated you are.
People get fisted when they're not, by the way.
But that's called a fetish.
Yeah.
Most people don't want to be fisted, Ross.
Probably. Yeah, I would doubt it.
Most
fucking
people
awful. How big are
don't
your
sign
hands?
themselves up
I used
for
to be a cage
fisting.
fighter. That'd be, wow.
It sounds really painful. Anyway, a nipple can fall off while breastfeeding and you'll need to have it surgically reattached. This is true. I've had people come at me for this point on the list, and it is true. It can come from lack of blood circulation to the nipple. Your nipple can fall off and it will have to be surgically reattached. So don't come for me. It's on the internet.
Is this
Google it.
or during or like after
When
you
you're
give
like
birth?
breastfeeding.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like the baby literally sucks off your nipple.
Yeah, and when they get teeth, they're like little
Actually-
piranhas.
Babies are they breastfeeding when they've got teeth, or are they too old?
Both. Like you can, like when their teeth start growing in, you're still feeding them, and people can opt out of it if they want to, but some people do, and they do bite. So yeah, your nipple can fall off, and the pregnancy nose.
What is a pregnancy?
I've showed you this. I know that for a fact. I've showed you this on
showed me
TikTok.
a lot of stuff, and
I know you don't have TikTok, but I showed you this for sure. There are so like go on TikTok, go on the montage of like pregnancy nose videos, and they'll show like women show themselves
it's like
before.
Pinocchio? It's like when
No,
you lie?
it's like like it just gets big.
Oh, okay.
Like your nose just gets big. It's so wild. And I'm pretty sure it goes back to normal after you give birth. But
so it's while you're pregnant, your nose actually.
you get like a proper like
Really?
pregnancy nose. Go and search it up on TikTok. It's
I reckon we have had this
I actually
conversation.
I love that women share this stuff because it's just real. It's real life. It's their experiences. These things can happen. They're there for a reason.
I'm going to grab
But
the list
they
up on
are
my
so they're
phone.
the most probably like most
you.
commonly featured on media if they haven't shared the full list. But
hair
people
loss.
on like
You're tired all the time.
what stands out to you on that list?
Well, in terms of like controversial or
Yeah, like what's like so
real?
wild?
Because there's probably like half a dozen that are just these are genuine concerns or thoughts are like make up part of the reason why.
Just pick one that stands out to you.
Oh wow!
And you can't say all of them.
You will not sleep. I mean, well, I love my
Well,
sleep.
look, like
I do love to. I do. I mean, that's
you love
obviously-
uninterrupted sleep.
Yeah, I mean, I don't sleep for a long period of time, but
But the fact that it's uninterrupted is great.
you're susceptible to yeast infections while pregnant.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
I know you've never had a yeast infection, but it is actually awful.
Children throw tantrums. That seems a little bit like silly. Is it like,
Ross,
so do fucking
when I say
adults.
children,
Listen
so
to those comments.
you know Sarah's brother, when they were younger, you've heard this story. He did a poo on the floor of their bedroom. Shit on the floor, like a big human-sized shit. He was like, he wasn't a toddler. He was like a good age that he knew that he shouldn't do this. He then went and got a golf club and hit the poo all across the fucking room. Like these are where tantrums can go, and the screaming tantrums where they get like they work themselves up so much that they actually gag or vomit because they have been like crying so hard. It's like they can throw wild tantrums. I'm sure you threw crazy tantrums as a kid. Did you?
No, I didn't really. I don't think I threw tantrums.
My little sister did. She threw like Satan tantrums.
I've heard.
Screaming
You
tantrums.
told me some stories. I don't think I was a tantrum. I was actually more of like, okay, I'll cop it. I'll wear it. I was a pretty placid. I was a bit of a little shit.
Well, there was a lot of you.
That's true. Spread it around. I think that's maybe a good thing about having like multiple kids. You can sort of spread it around to, you don't need to direct it to one child.
Yeah.
It's your only child.
Just scream at all of them to shut the fuck up.
Body odor gets bad during pregnancy and worse postpartum.
And you can smell
this
like onions.
So this is not every person. So not every person smells different. Is it just certain cases?
Yeah, it's like
Is it a diet thing,
I
or
just
do you think
I
is it
just
a
put it on there
pregnancy
because it can happen. It had like someone like it's someone's experience or multiple people's experiences. Like they smell like onions.
Pick up and drop off your kids every day at school for 18 years.
See, this actually, I don't know how people do this.
But also, inaccurate, fact checked. Your kid doesn't start going to school when they're 1 year old. So it's
What if
actually
but
more.
they could get kept down? Like you don't know. Like
That's true. So
Yeah,
you're saying if you.
but you're still also you're taking them to
15 years.
daycare. You're
Maybe in the
taking
middle
them
at
to
15 years?
preschool. Like, yeah, whatever.
preschool, daycare, kindy.
Yeah.
All of those things.
Yeah.
Plus 12 years of education.
Yeah, but people are also as soon when they give birth, a lot of people do end up going back to work not long after.
Your vagina will be different post natural birth.
It's just a fact of life.
It would
If you
have
have
to
a
be.
natural birth.
It would have to be different.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know they have those vaginal rejuvenation surgeries?
No.
They sew you back up.
Oh, good on it.
It's really popular.
They will probably
Especially in
throw
Beverly Hills.
food back at you.
Yeah.
Did you throw food back at your parents?
Oh, yeah, I did everything.
At your parents?
Yeah.
Definitely the siblings, for sure.
I threw golf balls at my babysitter once because I didn't like her.
And this is when you were like 17,
Yeah.
a year before we got.
No, look, we were little shits.
Things you love will be ruined?
Yep,
What
facts.
What are things that you'd love?
Couches, walls,
Oh, right.
personal items.
Yeah.
I once ate my brother's gems because they looked like a lolly in front of him. Like
do you
he
mean
had them
gems?
out, like little stones. Like it was like a quartz, like smooth quartz pink stone. He had them laid out on the floor and he was like documenting them all. My mum's sitting there, my brother's sitting there. I saw it and I thought it looked like a lolly and I knew it wasn't a lolly, but I just picked it up and I ate it.
So you didn't chew it. You just like
I swallowed
a
it.
tablet.
Yeah. Kids ruin things that people love.
Wow.
And my brother was like, we can get it out later. And mum's like, absolutely not.
Well, look,
Did you ruin any of your parents' things?
did I ruin any of their things?
We drew on
Ruin,
walls.
ruin?
We did.
I don't think so.
I ruined so much of my mum's expensive makeup growing up. Like,
Wasn't
bit
my
the
thing.
lipstick, bit the Dior lipstick, the full stick, brand new.
Oh, look, I did definitely do something. This wasn't as a I wouldn't call it a kid. I just got my license and I was reversing the car into our garage. I don't think my parents don't know this to this day. Dad will never find out because he's dead. But I actually hit a shelf that was in the garage and it made a huge dent in the back of the boot. And I said nothing at all. I said nothing. And I'm pretty sure my dad blamed my mum.
And you're like, yep, take that, mum.
I wasn't even part of that conversation. But ruined thing, I don't think I've ruined. I must have for sure.
We ruined
like,
so
maybe,
much.
like carpets or something, or I reckon maybe.
Windows. I broke so many windows.
Yeah, you did.
I threw a
actually.
rock at a
Yeah.
spider up in a little dorm frame. And back then, all of the glass was so thin. Do you remember back 20 years ago? Glass was so thin. Like it was ridiculous.
What
And
are you, like a glass specialist?
No,
now or
but
something?
I obviously, yeah, because I have experience in breaking glass. But I threw this rock at the spider. And I was like, I'm gonna get the spider down. I wouldn't do it now, obviously, because the small spider theory story. But I threw this fucking massive rock and I was like, come down, spider. Shattered the whole fucking massive glass window, like the whole sliding door. Smashed it. My dad ran out. He's like, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And I'm like,
I love that your dad ran.
And I literally-
Are you okay?
yeah.
That's the first thing.
my
Not,
mum,
what the fuck
my mum's
is
just like, whatever, whatever. But yeah, and he was like, what are you doing? Like, what happened? I was like, I was trying to get the spider down. And then another time I
sense. Use
threw
a
a
rock.
book. I threw a book at the window because I was really hot and I wanted to open the window.
How did that happen in your head?
I don't
I'm going to throw
know.
this book.
I was just getting
It's
frustrated.
just going to open the window. I'm
Do
going
you
to
know
throw a
what?
book at the window and it's just going to pop open.
This is
and
my
I'm gonna get a
undiagnosed
call.
ADHD. I was reading a book. I was getting frustrated because I was really hot. And then I was just so overstimulated. I'm like, someone open a fucking window. Obviously didn't swear because I would have got a beating. But that was in my head. I'm like, open a window. It's hot. And then no one opened a window. So I just threw the book at the window and the whole window smashed. Nighttime, no fly screen on it. So then after that, my parents got fly screens on every single window and the safety fly screens
Did you have
as well.
aircon when you were growing up?
No. I had a shared bedroom with my sister.
I never had a shared bedroom, but didn't have aircon.
We had bunk beds, but we had aircon in the living
Actually,
room.
at one stage I did have bunk beds, really young. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
No, we
so
had,
off topic.
yeah.
So
Anyway, so that's how I destroyed some of the things in my parents' house
So I
and
guess-
my parents' things.
So some of the reasons that formed your the controvert. They're not controvert. I don't think controvert. They're probably just more satirical, right?
Yeah.
That's probably a better way of there's
Yeah.
probably on that 117
But
reasons.
people
There's
find
probably
controversial.
80 of them are satirical. But
People love to make a big thing out of a small thing these days, but whatever.
Yeah, they do. You're really good at it sometimes.
Thanks.
So coming back, but there's probably like 20 or maybe 30 that are like genuine, maybe fears or it's like, oh shit, like what if my kid did become a serial killer?
I just saw things and I was like, write that down.
Yeah.
Write that down. Heard an experience, write that down. It was just funny.
So did that come from, for you, how did that start? How did you, because obviously, I think you said before, last episode, you were like 13, you started getting, I definitely didn't get those questions when I was 13.
Yeah. I think from as long back as I can remember, the first time that somebody asked me, how many kids do I want? Not if I had kids, if I wanted kids, but how many do I want? I was about 13 years old.
Okay, so so then you've got 12 years between 13 and 25.
Yeah.
That's 12, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So when your dad passed away and then life changed.
Yeah.
Forever.
Yeah.
And after that, it was only after then you started to think, hey, maybe I don't want to have kids. And then a little bit after then, I guess you solidified, I don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
So what are the what were the responses that you got when people asked at 26, 27, even still to this day, not as much, because I think people who ask you, maybe they sort of know that you're going to.
There's still people who ask me who don't even know about this list, and then other people who actually bring it up and they're like, I fucking loved this. This was so like funny. I've got kids. I can say everything is true. Like, there's a lot of it's a lot of mixed messaging, but I think a lot of the reactions that I get from people is, oh, that's very selfish. That's very selfish reasons why you don't want to have children. And this is like not even about the list. This is just like coming back to when I actually go into explaining the reasons why, being like, I
think Daisy wants to get down.
Do you want to go to daddy? But yeah, they're like, oh, that seems really selfish. And I'm like, what a thing to say to someone who's just like laid their heart out on the line and just told you, been very, what's the word I'm looking for?
Candid?
Like, not candid,
Frank?
but like, no. I hate when you do this. You put words into my head when I'm thinking of something else. No, vulnerable. Someone's been like very vulnerable with you, and then they've just gone in like straight away and been like, well, that's very selfish. And then I think
have you had that to your face though?
Yes.
You've had people say
I've
to your face,
I've had people
selfish.
say that to my face. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. After a few drinks, or like, when people are just like, whatever, like just say what they mean.
Yeah.
Say what you see, Gareth. This is also a Office reference when you like. Ross and I love the English Office.
The English Office.
With Ricky
the American
Gervais.
one's great as well, but the English Office is the OG. Probably one of the best TV shows ever.
It's way better than the American one. But another one that we also get is you don't feel real love until you have a child.
Yeah.
And then also the fact that people say it's like unconditional love, which I tend to disagree with. I don't think unconditional love exists amongst humans. I think it's always love on a condition. Like in my experience, I've cut my mother off. I know that's not true. I know that, she hasn't made the effort in 7 years to say anything to me or do anything like that. So like, I know that love is conditional. And I'm not saying that's for everyone. Like,
but maybe as a child, maybe this is as a child, like
child's perspective.
3 or 4 years,
yeah.
like the love is unconditional.
Yeah,
I mean, I would assume.
But
so.
but don't get that mixed up. It's not unconditional. Your child needs you to survive.
Right. So you're saying that there's like an exchange of they're maybe not doing it out of
unconditional love. They're doing it out of they need to survive.
But a parent should be though.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
even when that child does things to piss you off, or they don't know. Like at that age, they don't know that they're pissing you off or pushing your buttons. But like your love for them should be unconditional. I don't think your love for a child should be unconditional if they do things that are really bad.
You don't know unconditional, or is it you don't know real responsibility until you have a child? I think that's probably pretty.
Yeah, no, that's definitely something that we get very often. You don't know real responsibility, and I think that's true for some people. I think that like a lot of people haven't gone through some of the really life-changing experiences that you and I have gone through in their life. So that is their life-changing experience, whereas our experiences are very different. We've had life-changing experiences that have put a lot into perspective for us and given us an idea of like what's important, what's not, what we want to focus on, what makes us happy, what brings us peace, all these things. But some people's experiences and lessons are their children. So I think there's a very different way to look at it.
But what about, won't you be lonely?
Oh, God.
Who's going to look after you when you're old?
I hate this one. Like, firstly, you should never have children with the goal of them taking care of you later on in life, so you're not lonely.
Yeah.
And
I actually think almost like how
that's so selfish. And I know we say that we don't want to judge, but if you do have children for the reason of not being lonely and them taking care of you when you're older, that's fucking selfish.
I think if that's a top reason, if that's like in your top like 5
and
or
for so
6
many people, it's the
reasons
first
or
thing
whatever,
that they say.
like, oh, I don't want to be lonely, or who's going to look after me, so let's have it. Like, I think you should maybe think about having a child. Like maybe just think about it a little bit more if that's actually driving
and
you.
go to therapy.
Like, how fucking selfish for you to obligate something which you brought into this world. So, like, if that's actually a driving thing, I really hope that that's not a driving thing. I
do feel like for a lot of people it is.
Yeah, no,
because that's their first response. Who's going to take care of you when you're older? If you don't have children.
I hope that that's maybe like a deflection, almost like your list is a deflection. I hope that that's maybe a deflection for a lot of people. I hope that no one will bring a human being in this life.
But I also feel like, you know, that like, won't you be lonely? And it's like, well, no, because when I don't have children, I have so much time and effort and energy to put into the relationships in my life with you, with my closest friends. And a lot of people speak from experience. Like, I've heard people's experiences who work from like aged care facilities whose like parents their children don't even come in and see them. They say it happens so frequently. So the people that they're actually friends with in these homes are their most important relationships that they have because their kids actually don't come and see them. They don't give a shit about them. They don't care. So like for me.
So it's a cop-out excuse.
It's just a cop-out excuse.
So I'm sure that there's some people that like the kids go there every other day and they're like lovely kid caring.
But still, your kids won't be there every day with you. Like, you need to have a good relationship with yourself first and foremost, in my opinion. I feel first and foremost, you have to be comfortable with being able to be alone.
Yeah, it's almost like you don't want to buy something for like a security, like your insurance policy, to not be lonely.
Having kids is not an insurance policy to loneliness.
Yeah, how about you be a good person and you actually attract some good quality people who want to be in your life?
Yeah.
Rather than like obligate something or someone.
Exactly. Yeah. But I think you first need to have that relationship with yourself. You need to be comfortable with being lonely, because shit's going to happen in your life where you will be alone, more than likely. You won't have the support that you need. Like, you won't always have that, regardless of whether you have kids or you don't have kids. And you need to also have relationships with people that you care about and love outside of your children as well. That is just a natural human connection thing.
Maybe, unless you want to live like in the wild and you want to like, there's videos that I watch, where those people go away for like 3 days and like,
but that let's bring it back to the real world, because that's not real world for a lot of people. That's like very niche. But yeah, I think like the effort and the energy that I put into my life, my relationships with my chosen family, because my blood family is non-existent in my life. So the people who are my chosen family, like, I don't need to have someone come out of my uterus to be part of my family. Like, you and I are family, regardless of whether we have children or not.
That's incest. Is it?
I love how you just lighten the mood with your ridiculous comments sometimes.
Well, you know that saying, blood's thicker than water?
Yeah.
And so is cake batter, motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's like,
yeah, so true. And I think like, and we'll dive into this when we go into the toxic family and friends series that we sort of have planned. But yeah, I think it's just really important to be able to like I know that I'm not going to be lonely because I'm okay with myself.
Well, look, maybe you will be lonely. I think you've probably accepted the fact that, hey, maybe I will be lonely, but that's my fault.
Yeah.
Like, it shouldn't be, well, I've got an insurance policy where my kids will come and visit me. It's
Can you just rely on that?
Yeah, I think that that's a bit of a cop-out. And look, honestly, I think that would, for the most part, I reckon that would be a deflection rather than a genuine reason why. And maybe it's like if people have like 117 reasons why they want to have kids, hopefully it'd be like down the bottom as the reason why, because it's like, oh, it's an insurance policy for not being lonely.
Yeah, and like, I love what you said. Like, you probably are going to be lonely. Like, I've had experiences in my life when I've had family, my parents and my siblings and you and wonderful friends, where I have felt lonely. I've been in another country, like away from everyone.
If you're listening, I'm not going to the bathroom. I'm pouring a drink. If you're listening,
he's
and not
peeing
watching,
into a bottle.
He's filling up a drink.
But yeah, I've had experiences like that when I've had the best support and people around me and everything, and I have felt lonely. So, you know, it's just, I think like such a cop-out comment to say like you'll be lonely when you get old. It's like, actually, no.
It's a very common one though.
Yeah, it is very common.
Probably the most common one is that's selfish.
Yeah.
Which I think it's actually one of the most selfish things, and I don't have a problem with it. I think it's one of the most selfish things to have a child. Like the reason why you want to have a child is because you have reasons you want to have a child.
Yeah.
You're not saying, oh, I'm doing this great deed and I'm like choosing to bring this in existence. It's like, no, I want a child because I want either mini-me's or I want to have, you know, this love and this life or whatever. Like it's something you're doing it for your own purpose. And that's actually fucking cool.
But don't call people selfish for not wanting them.
Yeah. That's,
because like that's very hypocritical.
Like, double
it's like someone saying like having kids, like you see, it's like if someone calls me selfish for that, it's like me going out in public and saying to someone seeing kids and just go, bit selfish in it. It's a bit selfish. And they're like, what? Having kids? Can you imagine? I would be burnt at the stake. Someone would literally burn me at the stake for saying that. However, it's still.
I don't think it. When you reckon the last person was burnt at the stake? Honestly, I reckon it was at least.
People would have burnt me at the stake over this list if they could. But
very true.
But yeah, I mean, like the initial, like people feel like it's okay to say it's selfish for someone for this, but it's
very much.
Can you imagine if it flipped
common.
The script and said, you know, you're selfish for having children?
What would you say the top three are? Is selfish?
Selfish. Who's going to take care of you when you're old? Won't you be lonely? And you won't ever feel a love like you have with a child. Yeah, and that's great. Like, but you don't know until you have it. So it's like, you know, like it's like someone doing heroin and being like, what? This is so great. You should do it. And someone's like, well, look, it's not right for me.
But you go for it.
But you go for it. Like,
here's a clean needle.
And look, we're not making fun of this. Yeah. We're just like using it as a reference. Like you don't know until
you think I take things dark.
But what I'm saying is, and don't like twist my words, you don't know until you make that decision and you have that child. Like we won't know what that feels like.
I think the point is like don't discredit if someone's like genuinely thought it, and if you're at a barbecue or whatever and someone's like, hey, do you want to have kids? And then someone gives you an actual response, which might be like a throwaway line or whatever or a deflection, maybe just accept it for what it is and just be like, okay, maybe I don't need to push this any further, or maybe I don't need to start conversion therapy, or maybe it is the best thing that ever happened to you. Maybe you don't feel love like you've ever felt. Maybe you do want that as an issue. Like that's all great.
And again, some people are just made to be parents.
Yeah, and that's awesome.
Other
but
people
just don't
not.
Like don't
push it.
Don't like chip away, because it actually might actually fuck with them. They might come away from that barbecue thinking, I didn't know how to answer that. I didn't know what to say. I didn't want to offend them.
And it does chip away
you just
at people.
Wear that.
And I think also too, coming back to the above, like the attacks that, like I can take that. It does not bother me one iota. Like I could not care less what people think about me. But I know that there are people out there who do genuinely get so upset.
I mean, we've heard the audio messages. I've seen DMs and even
it genuinely
emails.
very much affects them when people say these awful things to them and just the constantly like chip away at them and like it does like hurt people. The conversation does hurt people. So I think just being a little bit more aware of people's like experiences.
Well, I think some people have
not aware, but like just empathetic and understanding that, hey, this person hasn't had the same life that I have.
You know what? If that's what they feel, that's fine. And look, I get the whole thing, like, and if you're so excited, you're so in love with your children, and it's like, oh, you never feel this, and it's like, I get you want to share that with people, but it's kind of like finding,
and that's so wonderful, and we love that for you guys.
But it's kind of like finding like hot yoga. When I found hot yoga, I literally like wanted to fucking tell everyone. It's like you've got to do hot yoga. It's not the hot yoga people. It's the fucking runners. It's the running people. You have to run. You have to run. Like, it's the best thing you'll ever do. Run club. Let's do a run club.
Let's do a run club. Like running people.
Like,
a whole different
maybe it's just not for me. Actually, you don't need to know that I got 2 knee reconstructions. I haven't. But you don't need to know that like it hurts. You don't need to know that I hate it. I go to the gym instead. I go and do whatever it is. Like
I do
you
what's
don't need
good for
conversion
me.
therapy.
Yeah.
But I think these are like the controversial things. Call them controversial things. Call them maybe like the satirical things, like the throwaway comments. But there's been like a number of things that have actually led us to actually really understanding and probably not accepting within ourselves that, hey, we just don't want to have kids. I don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
I'm lucky enough that you are on the same path, and I don't think at any point I've ever tried to convince you, and I don't think at any point you've ever tried to convince me either. It did just happen because we experienced life together as partners.
And the life-changing things that happened to us so close together on both parts.
What would you say? What would be your your 2 or 3 things that led you to, because like you said, you probably at maybe 16, 17, 18, you thought, yeah, I'm going to have kids.
Yeah. Yeah, totally.
So what,
Look, I think the really pivotal moment for me was when my dad died. And like this is not about my dad or like what happened and everything. We won't dive into a big story time, but due to a few personal reasons on his part, like he committed suicide when I was living in America. We were very, very close. Like, you know what, my dad and I, like we've got Alien and Predator memorabilia here in the studio that my dad and I collected together for years. We were very, very close. And he was definitely the more supportive parent of me. The more communicative parent.
Your dad was a great parent, but it was also like he was your biggest fan, but it was also like a really great friend.
Yeah,
he was like a mate. It was definitely like a mate to me.
But he never liked it when I swore. Do you remember?
Yeah, true. Yeah,
I said the F word in front of him once for the first time.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Don't say that." But then he'd be like, "Oh, fuck it, whatever." I was a cigar in his mouth. But yeah, he really was just such a wonderful, amazing parent. And never pressured me to do certain things. He always tried to help me make great decisions for my life. Definitely. Mostly always became the bad cop in the family sometimes because he was the one who always tried to be the parent. And I think my mum always tried to be like the best friend and like manipulate certain situations to her advantage. But that's another story for another time.
Sounds like it.
But yeah, the death of my dad was just so like life-altering for me.
So how do you think, and because I think maybe we've both lost our dads and we've both lost people around us.
Yeah.
Some really sudden, some you've got warning of.
Yeah.
And maybe we'll get into those maybe in another topic or some episodes. But like how, without like discrediting that experience, but how did that experience change your view or maybe bring to light your view of not wanting to have kids?
I think it just showed me that, he really didn't prioritize his personal happiness. And he didn't for so long. And it just shows that it deeply, deeply affected him. He
but how
sacrificed.
Did that change you? How did that alter your perspective or your?
Well, it just showed me that you're here to live life for you. Like I'm here to live life for me.
Selfish, innit?
I don't fucking care. Like if someone wants to call that selfish, cool. But I'm happy. At the end of the day, I'm happy. I have so much peace in my life since and also like cutting my family off. And the way that the world is disgusting. And I'm a really positive person. You know me. Like I'm always trying to see the good things about life and life choices and experiences, and like anything bad that happens in my life, I've taken something good away from.
Yeah, look, you're definitely
you're
an optimistic realist.
Yeah. And I feel like that's the best way to go about life for me is taking really shitty things that happened and taking something very good from it. But I am a realist. The world is completely different to what it was 30 years ago when people were having children, and bringing a kid into this world is fucking terrifying. Like I've experienced bullying growing up. That would have killed my parents. I know that it killed my dad. He was there almost every week.
Yeah, you've shared those stories with me.
Yeah.
Where he found out when you got bullied and he was straight in the car, straight to the principal's office.
Yeah.
And,
and my dad at that time sponsored the school, and he threatened to pull the sponsorship of the entire
school
year.
Like that.
Yeah. But
back
then nothing really happened. And And now, and so it went on for a really long time with me. And I think that's why things just don't affect me anymore, because I've just gotten so used to just people throwing hate. It doesn't even matter because I don't care about them.
So do you think that your dad wore a lot of his kids' experiences and part of those things maybe just led to those events?
I think his whole life became about his family, and then when that crumbled beneath his feet, and it really crumbled in such a traumatic way for him, which is really sad to talk about. But, you know, it just shows me, like, now that I've done the work and I'm happy, and like I just don't see my life changing. You know, I love the life that we've built, and I love the life that we have with Daisy. And, you know, I saw the way, and I said this earlier, the way that my parents were, they were a slave to us because, like, they had 4 kids. Back then, it was fucking expensive to have 4 children, and they worked there. They had 2. Yeah, it's more expensive now to have 1 or 2. Yeah. But they worked their asses off to give us a beautiful life, which they did. We went to private school. We lived a good life. We didn't struggle. Like we didn't have we weren't like loaded, but we were definitely privileged children and had a very privileged upbringing. I know that you have had like kind of like a bit of a, you know.
I had both.
You had 2 sides.
Both ends of the spectrum, yeah.
And honestly, when everything crumbled for my dad, if we were younger, we would have experienced both sides. But they were just a slave to us. And I see it now with people with children. And we hear it, you and I hear it all the time when we actually get people's, like, you know, if you had your time over, would you do it again? Like, would you not do it again? And people are very brutally honest. They love their children, but, you know, they potentially probably wouldn't do it again if they had the chance.
Yeah, and what you say is probably like 80-20. 80% of them are like, yeah, no, I'll do it all over again. I'll do it again tomorrow. But then 20% are like, you know what, actually –
it's like Seth Rogen said in an interview. He's like, it's like a glimmer of light in the sea, in a sea of what did he say? It was like a glimmer of light in a sea of sadness or something, or a sea of like craziness. Which I thought was a really funny way, which a lot of parents have actually explained to us. They're like, you know, you get these like little glimmers, like what percentage of having kids like makes it worth it? Is it like 90% like all good and then 10%? And it's different for everyone, obviously.
Yeah.
Some people have like really easy children. Some people have really challenging children. People have
some people that all they want to do, and that's like they knew and nothing's changed their mind or whatever. Or
but a lot of I think a lot of the reactions from people is like we've become slaves to our children because we put our happiness and peace aside so they have that.
So you'd say your dad's passing that influenced you. What were some of the other things that sort of influence? Obviously, when your dad passed away, that's huge. Yeah. That's life-altering for both of us.
Yeah. Well, I saw how my family deteriorated and saw how the unconditional love myth isn't real. And you hope that your parents have your best interests in mind, but some people out there just don't. They don't fucking care. There's so much selfishness. And like in this term, it is selfishness because decisions were made that people knew would impact their family, their husband, and it was just blatant disregard and abuse of having that family. Like, I would call that abuse, the way that it all went down, for sure.
How do you think, I mean, after your dad passed away, we were in LA and we had an incredible counsellor, Albert.
Yeah, we had an amazing counsellor. Actually, he was probably the reason why I processed the death of my dad as great as I did.
Yeah.
Because I feel like you go one or two ways. You spiral or it makes you better.
Yeah. He helped you put the pieces not back together, but he helped you understand, helped me understand, you know, how to move forward with life and put things together. And
And also just validated how I was feeling. And because you get fed this whole, like, family is family, you have to forgive everyone, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, you actually don't. And he made me feel safe in my feelings and validated my feelings, where I was like, I can't move forward like this. Like, I just can't. Like, my values and my morals, like what these people have done and continue to do, I can't move forward with. So it just showed me that you know, that family dynamic. And
so what would you say? So what would you say? Top 3? Is there a top 3 or a one?
The death of my dad, for sure. That was probably the top, because it just brought out so many different things, and cutting my family off. And I think also, like, just the way the world is. Yeah, it's fucking terrifying. Like, growing up now is so different. Yeah, the access that people have to your children through technology and just the way things are just awful. It's scary. Like, I would be constantly stressed and scared and worrying about what would be the most important thing to me in my life, bringing that person into my life. Yeah. And as they should be, it would ruin my peace. It would ruin my happiness. Yeah. And I'm self-aware to know, that would change things for me. Yeah. Yeah. What would your things be?
Oh, look, definitely your dad as well. I think we were together for 6-7 years. Yeah. Before your dad passed away. Yeah. And again, maybe we'll.
And you were like my dad's son. Yeah, probably actually more than my actual brother.
We were close. We were very close. Yeah. And he was a great dude. He was a great dude. Yeah, look, definitely when your dad passed, a lot of things changed between you and I. And this is probably a different topic, but a lot of things changed between you and I.
It definitely has impacted.
I almost felt like I became a parent to you when your dad passed away. Yeah. Instead of being your partner, I felt like I was there to care for you and be there for you in a different way than a partner does.
He definitely helped us navigate that very well, though. So
Albert did? Oh, 100%.
So you didn't just become my partner?
No.
Sorry, my parent?
Yeah, 100%. But it definitely, I wanted it almost what I feel, I imagine would a parent be to you. And that's very different to how a partner is, I think, well, what I experienced anyway. Yeah. So definitely your dad passing away. That was one big thing. My dad passing away. Yeah. I'm one of 5, older brother, 3 younger brothers, and my youngest brother was 11 when my dad passed away. So young. My parents lived a very call it traditional life. Like my dad worked, my mum worked and looked after 5 boys. Yeah. At the house and dinner and clothes.
She was a traditional stay-at-home mum, which is for sure. A full-time job.
Yeah, and incredible at it as well. And my dad was great at what he did. But when my dad passed away, like my mum didn't even know how to pay like a phone bill, for example. And I, along with one of my other brothers, we sort of stepped in and stepped up to, look after all of the shit that comes from losing a parent and, mum being, very not independent. What's the opposite of independent? Reliant. Yeah. To almost then stepping into being a parent again in certain aspects. Not so much to my little brother, and there's definitely like some little regrets that I've got. No regrets, but things that I would have done differently. But you definitely
did step in as a parental figure to him to help guide him.
Not a parental figure. I think you just like accept responsibilities that maybe that no one else is going to take, or it's like, I want to take this, or let's do whatever we can. And
responsibilities a traditional parent would.
Yeah, so definitely that, and probably the same as yours as well. That last one, the current state of the world, like that's slightly scary. Yeah, and I think it's something we really want to chat about in some other depth. Yeah, we want to talk about like the death of the influencer, not influencers dying, but like how social media has shaped us and like
how people interact, especially with relationships.
When I was in school, we didn't have social media. I think Facebook. I got Facebook like a year after I left school. Yeah. Showing my age. Never had MySpace, but like now kids grow up with this shit and it's like I struggled being like not popular, but I struggled being, social in person at school. And now you take technology and you've got to be cool in person and also with technology. So that's fucking hard.
Yeah. And also I think also going back to, what happened with your dad, losing your dad.
from a partner's perspective, like, well, you said you felt like a parent to me when I was going through the loss of my dad. It almost felt like, and I'm being really honest here, tell me to shut up.
Thank you.
But
honestly, you said
it almost felt like you had like an ex-wife and a son in the background when you were going through that with because your mum was so reliant and your brother was so young. You're trying to obviously make their lives as easy as possible and help your brother and do all of that stuff.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
And that was definitely something that was
it's like an experience.
difficult to navigate.
It's like you experience, again, I don't know, but I felt like I was experiencing parenthood.
Yeah.
And I was like, fuck, this sucks. This sucks. I just wanted to grieve my dad.
Yeah.
With, my mum, with my brothers or whatever, as like a family member. But, didn't do that.
Yeah.
But, that's an experience. And I think maybe that like brought some things that was like, oh, do I really want to, are these, is having a child really important to me? Do I want to roll the dice that, my child experiences even a fraction of some of the things that you and I have gone through? Like, I don't think I want to roll that dice. I don't think I want to roll. I think, I'd love the kid. Yeah, it'd be great. Yeah, that'd be awesome. But do I want to like subject consciousness to experiencing even a fraction of if the most important thing in my life, like we had kids, that would be the most important thing in my life.
Yeah.
You'd be out the window. They would be the most important thing.
See,
in my life.
I'm not playing second banana to a baby.
No, but they would.
I'm not the silver Logie. I'm the gold Logie. See, gold shoes.
But you would. I mean, you would.
I'm just kidding. Obviously,
I would be out the window.
You'd
be out, they would become the most important thing in your life.
Well, yeah, definitely. I feel like that's just a normal human feeling.
Yeah,
it's instinct to protect your young.
Yeah, but, I mean, you'd. I think you'd just naturally feel those things. I mean, whether you know why or not or whatever. I think you just.
It's an unexplainable instinct.
But what I don't want to do is I don't want to bring something into this world. This is something. There's like gender reveals.
Yeah.
Right, off topic. But gender reveals. Is it a boy or a girl? Like, what if the baby hasn't decided what they want to be yet?
True. Yeah, we're literally living in those times where people actually do say, "What if they don't identify as that?"
Hey, the doctor said, hey, they can decide. Anyway, I genuinely just don't want to bring consciousness into this world.
Yeah.
And subject them to even from what I've seen what I've seen you go through, man, if they even experience like 10% of the pain, the trauma or whatever that you've gone through, that would crush me. Like it would fuck. And I don't want to roll the dice that maybe they will, maybe they won't experience it. Oh, that's part of life or whatever.
Yeah.
Maybe it is. I'm happy to actually put aside my some of the positives that I would receive from that for the potential of bringing that into the world.
Exactly. Do you feel like you've grieved the death of your dad yet? Like properly?
I don't know. I think everyone probably grieves differently, right?
Or just processed it?
I've definitely processed it.
Yeah.
I've processed. I think so. Processed it, accepted it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got issues. You know it.
But I feel like you're really good at working through things, but I know it did.
But I like to, that. Like I like to prioritize other people.
You do. And that's something that I feel like you and I have both definitely worked on, prioritizing ourselves, because we do put people before ourselves, as much as people out there think that we don't. We do prioritize the people that we care about the most. And I think that's something that we've taken away from this is we actually do need to prioritize ourselves as well.
Yeah, and I think,
because if we're not good, those people can't be good.
So while people saw these 117 reasons why, you don't want to have kids, we don't want to have kids, I mean, they're actually the more candid reasons why we don't want to have kids.
Yeah.
And
they're the main deciding factors.
Yeah, and there was 115 others that were just like, whatever. But there was like 2 or 3 that were like really life-changing moments. And but that was pretty deep, hey?
Yeah, it was actually really deep.
I feel like we went deep into that. Let's preview. I reckon we've got maybe 1 or 2 more episodes on going over a few more things. So I've got a few things that not grievances, but I want to discuss some things with you, Ellie.
Next episode, I want to hear if you have a list, what that list looks like.
Yeah, I've got a list.
I
do.
Is it long? Is it short?
You'll have to.
We'll find out next episode. but like what you thought about the list, what your reactions were to my list, and also the societal expectations that are put on.
Oh, I definitely want to dive into that.
Women and men.
I love that. That's really fascinating to me.
Yeah, the societal like how different it is for women, for men, and for couples on having children. That's what I'd love to talk about next episode.
Let's do it. Thanks for listening to us, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
It's been a bit longer than that. It's been longer than the first one, wasn't it?
We're diving deep into the feels today.
I think it was a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Thank you for being super honest as well. I don't think you've really shared that in that way.
Well, I tried really hard not to
like
cry.
Being cut off or, you know,
yeah.
You did actually hold back the tears a little bit there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's hot.
Thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Do all the things, the likes, the subscribe.
Please subscribe. We need all the subscriptions.
Send us to the hate mail.
We want to get to everybody.
Send us to the hate mail, P.O. Box FUCK. I'll read those ones. And we look forward to speaking with you in the next episode. Peace. See you guys.
Love you guys. Thanks for tuning in to In Real Life. If you enjoyed this episode, we'd love for you to subscribe on Spotify and connect with us on Instagram at IRL with us. And remember, life isn't about meeting other people's expectations. It's about living it on your terms and meeting your own expectations. So go out there and live in real life. We'll see you next time.